Good people, this is Lenovo's Slim 7i Pro X. Now, the Slim series has always been known to combine performance in a compact and portable form factor. In fact, they've supercharged this laptop with more power, and by that I mean they've included a discrete graphics card to help accelerate creator-based applications. The icing on top of that is that Lenovo has managed to maintain a Z height of just 0.65 inches. It's also got a larger battery and a beautiful display. You see, this is the kind of design that proves how far laptop engineering has evolved over the past few years. Now, to find out how good these improvements are, I've got the Slim 7i Pro, which is its predecessor, and in this video, we're gonna go over the differences in terms of performance, design, and all the extra features that come with the new Slim 7i Pro X. And I want to thank Lenovo for partnering up with us for this video. By the way, I do want to clarify that for people who are watching outside of North America, that this device is branded as Lenovo Yoga Slim instead of Lenovo Slim. So the design has shifted from boxy and sharp aesthetics to curvy and smooth edges that help with everyday handling. It's just much better on my wrist when I'm spending hours typing away on scripts and emails. It is slightly bigger than last year's model, but not by all that much. We're talking about 0.63 inches of difference in length. Remember, they had to make room to accommodate an RTX 3050 GPU, so I think it's a pretty fair trade-off. Another thing I noticed is that the included power brick is slightly bigger this time, from 65 watts to 100 watts. And this is to ensure that there's enough power for the GPU, and it juices up the battery via USB Type-C, plus it supports fast charge. So if you plug this in for 15 minutes, you can get up to 3 hours of runtime, which is pretty neat. Now, I've got to hand it to Lenovo for their simple and clean design language across the chassis. This ultimate gray color, as they call it, blends in really well within any environment, be it your school, your workplace, or even coffee shops. It doesn't draw any attention, and I just love the minimalistic look, just like how they did with last year's Slim 7i Pro. But I will say that I do miss this slate gray finish from this model because if you know me, I'm a sucker for anything dark gray or matte black. So yeah, while this does look really great, personally, it just would have been nice to see a darker version or like a darker tone. Another major improvement with this design is that they've relocated the speakers up front versus bottom-facing drivers. And let me tell you, that makes a world of a difference with sound quality because you not only get better audio projection, but you also get a little bit of bass to fulfill your content consumption needs. You also get more ports with this model, so the inclusion of HDMI 2.0 is much appreciated since I was able to simply plug the Slim 7i Pro X quickly to my 4K TV without fetching around for a dongle. The Thunderbolt 4 ports allow me to switch to a desktop-like experience with just a single cable. It's all that I need to power my monitor, keyboard, mouse, my external drives, and my audio hardware. There's also Wi-Fi 6 compatibility on this year's model, and if you want to check out my experience playing around with that technology, check out this video right over here where I was able to set up a whole mesh network and just take advantage of those incredible speeds. I mean, it's just absolutely mind-blowing, and especially if you have a device that has it, it's really, really worth it, especially if you're living in a much larger space and if you need speedy Wi-Fi. Now, I've been using this laptop for the past few weeks, and one of the things that drew my attention was the display. It's a pretty subtle but noticeable difference compared to last year's model. Now, don't get me wrong, both these laptops have amazing looking screens rated at 100% sRGB. But the new one has a higher resolution panel since they've expanded the size by 0.5 inches diagonally. And on top of that, they've given it a 120 Hz refresh rate. And that, my friends, on a thin light laptop is a game changer. Usually, you see high refresh rate screens on gaming laptops, so bringing that tech into this form factor just elevates the whole experience when navigating through applications. If I want to do a quick edit in DaVinci Resolve or Adobe Premiere Pro, scrubbing through the timeline is just really smooth. I also thoroughly enjoyed editing my photos using Lightroom on this laptop since it's just razor sharp and color accurate. On top of that, you also get TUV low light certification, and I think it's a thoughtful feature to prevent eye strain when you view content in low light environments. I certainly noticed it. There's also an ambient light sensor to adapt to your external lighting situations to adjust brightness levels. I think Lenovo has put the user front and center when designing the display. Remember, comfort is one of the key factors when using a laptop, and this thing checks that out no problem. I also want to mention that this new panel is 7% brighter than the older model. Now, if you're looking for just raw numbers, it's 432 minutes versus 400 nits, so that's a nice bonus. Now the interior space hasn't changed all that much other than the speaker placement. The keyboard layout is the same, including the easily accessible arrow keys, and the typing experience is great. The switches have just the right amount of key travel and feedback, and it's just plenty of fun to get a lot of work done. I mean, the precision glass trackpad is also a nice complement to the keyboard. It's super smooth. I really had a great experience fine-tuning my edits in Lightroom, because usually I tend to rely on an external mouse to get that work done, but I was actually surprised at how well this thing was able to keep up with that. Now, Lenovo has implemented a 1080p webcam sensor into the new Slim 7i Pro X, and it's a noticeable improvement in terms of quality compared to last year's Slim 7i Pro, which features a 720p sensor. So this is excellent for Zoom meetings, which I do a lot for tech briefings and things like that. You see, we're working in a day and age where a lot of people are opting for hybrid work environments, which requires them to take meetings virtually. And so having a good quality webcam along with a good quality mic is a really important factor for a laptop. So the Slim 7i Pro X delivers exactly that. On top of that, they have included a physical e-shutter switch, which disables the sensor from a hardware standpoint. So I think that's an excellent feature, or just an added security layer for those of you who value privacy. I mean, everybody does, including myself, but this is just, I wish a lot of laptops did this. All right, guys, so now I want to get into the meat and potatoes of this video, which is the performance difference between last year's Slim 7i Pro featuring Intel's 11th Gen Core i7-11370H versus this year's 12th Gen Alder Lake i7-12700H, sitting on the Slim 7i Pro X. But before I get into the numbers, I just want to talk about Lenovo's X-Power concept and how it has a direct relation to how fast this thing really is. So first, this thing has a huge cooling system upgrade. They had to beef it up to handle the power levels of the new Alder Lake CPU. That, along with Lenovo's custom tuning of Intel's Thread Director, gives you that perfect balance of performance and battery life. So from a raw spec standpoint, the Core i7-12700H features 20 threads versus just 8 on last year's model, and the performance difference is absolutely incredible. The extra threads means less time waiting. If you work with applications like Cinebench and Blender that are heavily multi-threaded focused, the 12700H runs circles around the 11th Gen CPU. I mean, just look at that Blender test. The new Slim 7i Pro X finished that task 5 minutes faster. Even the most basic tasks within Microsoft Office are faster on the new 12th Gen CPU, thanks to the improved base frequencies. It's just an overall really responsive system. My experience with Lightroom was also great. The 7i Pro X didn't break a sweat exporting raw images taken from my EOS R with my LUTs applied. So if you're a photographer and you're constantly running around delivering client work, I think this is a pretty big deal. Perhaps the biggest improvement that I witnessed between these two devices is the video editing performance. I mean, just look at Premiere at 4K H.265 export. The new Slim 7i Pro X with those extra threads and an RTX 3050 running NVIDIA Studio drivers shaves almost 16 minutes of render time. This is what happens when you add a discrete GPU into the equation, because creator-focused apps just love it. And I'm just glad that Lenovo was able to deliver this kind of performance in a thin and light form factor. And for our fellow gamers out there, if you're looking to play some casual games on the go, the RTX 3050 delivers a huge performance improvement over the integrated graphics solution on last year's Slim 7i Pro. I mean, these numbers really do speak for themselves. And another huge leap in performance is with the built-in SSD. As you can see, the move to Gen 4 has almost doubled the read and write performance on the new Slim 7i Pro. Remember, all of this just adds to the overall responsiveness of the system. Now, with all of the performance packed into this laptop, you might be wondering, does it affect battery life? Well, kind of, but it's not a huge difference. Hear me out for a sec. While the battery size is slightly bigger on the Pro X versus the Pro, the combination of a higher resolution display, a dedicated GPU, and a super fast processor results in about 11 hours for light load workloads like web browsing and over 7 hours for watching videos. Yes, that's slightly less than last year's model, but that's the trade-off that you're gonna have to get when you're looking for that perfect balance between performance and efficiency. This thing still lasts me all day, no problem. So there you have it, folks. The new Lenovo Slim 7i Pro X. It's better in every way compared to last year's Slim 7i Pro. And that should be the case with every product. The design is refined, the 120Hz display is beautiful and smooth, the speakers sound great, and the performance you get with the Core i7 CPU and the RTX 3050 GPU is pretty incredible for this form factor. It's a device that adapts to any environment. It's an excellent companion for me when I'm on the go, working on websites, editing photos, and making short-form content. It's just perfect. On that note, thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.